Hello, everybody. I'm Tom Vasel.
Hey, everybody. It's me, Rahdo.
And we're back another week of April. Man, it is. I am forgetting the dates sometimes. What I'm doing at home is we're trying to establish something to do each day that differentiates that day from another day.
Okay.
So, like, we have Sunday, Saturdays, which in retrospect would have probably been better to do them on Sundays. But I wanted to eat ice cream, and I didn't want to wait till the next day.
Well, the important thing is, what's a Tuesday bring in the Vasel household?
I haven't determined that yet. One of these days is going to be the where we play Jackbox. You know, those games you can play with your phones, and everyone's looking at TV, and you do like party games. We're figuring it out. It's something different. Well, folks, we're here to talk about all sorts of things these days. It's definitely, and I cannot believe that I keep managing to hide this. We're talking about games, and we're glad you guys are here. And I'm a little bit off my game because, once again, technical problems have reared their ugly head. But we're getting around.
Yeah, we only barely made it this morning, folks. Tom has been working overtime to try to get this up and running. Trivia fact, did you know the Dice Tower has 2 internet feeds into Dice Tower Central? A main one and a backup in case the main one fails? That's crazy to me.
The thing about the backup one, though, is you cannot use it. You cannot use it for streaming. It's too slow for that. But it is when we're on the internet, and it's also we also have it so that if someone is surfing the internet and doing work, and someone else is streaming, you are not using the same line.
Sharp.
I guess it has come in handy, though, a few times. I've said some very unkind things about Comcast in the past, but AT&T has been there for me. Okay, I don't want to get into this. I'm trying to be positive.
Brought to you by AT&T.
Yeah, no, AT&T is only good when compared to Comcast. Okay. Alrighty, folks. Well, we're glad you all are here, and we're going to get started with what we always do at the beginning, where we take a look at a mechanism on Board Game Geek, and we're going in alphabetical order. So today we're taking a look here at Action Timer.
Yes.
So Action Timer is not in a ton of games, to the point where I wondered if I could have guessed every game in it. But basically, players place own timers on action space and take the action. When it runs out, it can be moved to another location to take that action. There's no turns. You can move your own timers anytime after they expired.
Yeah.
So when we look here, and once again, we'll sort them by...
And it's implicit, but they are real-time games. The only turn structure is, when does your hourglass end? When can you take another action? I mean, I always called them sandglass worker placement games, basically. But I guess that doesn't sound as official as action timers.
Sure. I'm trying to find the first one. I think the first one was Time and Space. It wasn't called Time and Space originally, though, I think. I want to say it had a different name. Time and Space is Bonacor's. Maybe it was called Space Dealer.
I just did a search, and Time and Space was not first out the gate in 2013. You've got to go back all the way to Mr. Tim Fowers in 2010 with Walkstar.
Nope. It's actually Space Dealer in 2006. That's not on the list here. But
if it's not on BGG, it doesn't count.
Well, it is on BGG. It's Space Dealer. I knew that Time and Space was a reimplementation of Space Dealer, and that came out in 2006.
Okay.
So there's an interesting thing about these games, and you'll notice when you look at the different ones that are listed here. So we see Kitchen Rush, Walkstar, Time and Space, Rush MD, Wartime, Chronos Conquest, and so on. And that is...
Oh my gosh. The pirate game isn't here.
Oh, you're right.
That's a huge oversight.
What's that game called now?
That's arguably the best one.
Well...
Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted. Go on.
No, that is good. I was going to say they're mostly cooperative games.
Yes.
And the pirate one, which we're all forgetting the name of.
Tale of Pirates, I think.
Tale of Pirates. Well, I'm going to pull it up here and look on the screen. That's easy enough. Tale of... I even have it in the Dice Tower library. I know I do because, I ranked it an 8. I like it a lot. Tale of Pirates.
It's an excellent game. And I am editing it right now to ensure it is properly flagged.
We will do this. 2 men versus Board Game Geek.
Somebody's got to do it.
Oh, wow. This new box lid for it, though. I haven't seen this box lid. I have the boring brown-looking box lid. This one is much nicer from Cranio Creations. So anyhow, the way these work, folks, is that you will take a timer and you'll flip it, and then when that usually you get to take the action right away, and then when the timer flips, you can move it somewhere else. But what I was going to say is that most of these are cooperative games. And the reason I think for this is that first one that we just talked about, which was not Tale of Pirates. I had the other game.
The one from 2006 that also is
2006,
mislabeled?
Space Dealer.
Okay.
Space Dealer or Time and Space. The problem with this game was it's a cooperative game, but what can happen? I mean, it's not a cooperative game. It's a competitive game. And what can happen in it is what I would call accidental cheating.
Sure. Yeah.
Because there's a lot of times when you play a game and somebody does an action and then you're like, oh, no, you can't do that. And they're like, oh, sorry. Right? That happens in games all the time. Or someone will say, it happens to me. I'll do something. Someone says, oh, I thought you couldn't do that. And I'm like, oh, yeah, right. When it's a real-time game, you cannot keep track of all that stuff. I don't watch the
Tom,
other people at all.
you're invisible, by the way, again. It's all me.
Oh, yeah.
I blame Roy.
It is not Roy's fault at all. I'll take the... Oh, wow. I got to... Maybe this one works better. Nope. Let's go back to that and add Rahdo in. And then back to... I forget what we were doing now. We're looking at these. There we go. All right, we're back.
It's live, folks.
Alrighty.
Tom does not have his support staff with him. He's flying solo.
Yeah, so... man, I keep forgetting what I was talking about. So in Time and Space, and Space Dealer before it, someone could have made rules mistakes and you would not have known.
And potentially they wouldn't know either. Because
sure. Again, I'm not saying...
Just go. There's no time to double check or triple check things, yeah.
And that's why I call it unintentional cheating. No one means it. It's not nefarious. And so I know people like these games, but I think that's a problem with them. So in a cooperative game, it works better. If someone makes that mistake and no one notices, who cares? At the end of the day...
there are some people who care because inevitably when I cover one of these games, most recently I did a video for Kitchen Rush. Jen and I filmed it together and we had a great time. And there are always folks who jump into the comments and say, yeah, I have to totally pass on this because of the accidental cheating. I trust my friends to not cheat, but I don't trust them to play by the rules. And the whole game is ruined. It's completely invalid if there's even the slightest... If there's a 1% chance that somebody made a mistake, our win is invalid. Kind of as channeling Batman there from Batman v Superman. If there's even a 1% chance, you have to take it as a given. And I don't know.
I don't agree with that.
If you had fun.
That's
the only important thing.
But also when you're playing a cooperative game, if you do something, I'll say, oh, no, well, you got to do this. And so that works. And so of the cooperative ones... Walkstar was definitely the first in that regard. Yes. And then that came out with a couple editions. Walkstar was originally, I want to say, published under Game Salute, but then Tim Fowers took it back and did it under his own brand.
Yeah, I went all indie. And Walkstar was really great. I remember playing it back at the time and being so excited because I really loved the idea. Because at that point I was still mostly more into video games than board games. I thought this will have that tension and that excitement, and I loved it. And my wife hated it. She could not stand it, and it was just too overwhelming for her. It made her feel stupid. It wasn't the game's fault. She just wasn't, I think, at that point in our evolution as gamers, ready for that kind of experience. But these days, she loves this mechanism, and
I love real time.
Much more comfortable.
What about Kitchen Rush? So Kitchen Rush is the most popular of all these. Do you like that one?
Yes. I liked Kitchen Rush quite a bit. Kitchen Rush had the bad luck of coming out within a month or two of Tale of Pirates. They both came out in 2017, and it was one of those Sophie's Choice. Well, okay, these both do a really great job of cooperative stuff, but do I want to make food in a kitchen, or do I want to chase down pirate ships with a cool rotating pirate board? And ultimately, I erred on the side of pirate ships, even though I do think Kitchen Rush had the slightly stronger design, because there's an interesting thing between these two. Right, my worker is an hourglass. I put it down. In Kitchen Rush, and now Rush MD, the medical sequel, you get to do the action immediately. And then you got to wait 30 seconds, and you can think about what you're going to do next. In Tale of Pirates, it's the opposite. You have to put it down, and it's not until the 30 seconds pass that you can do your action. And that always felt very clunky to me. And maybe it's on purpose to kind of throw your rhythm off. But I do think Kitchen Rush of the two is better, but it was not as high a quality in terms of presentation. It didn't have the neat board and all of that. But I think
I agree.
Rush
But there's
MD
also other differences too.
Sure.
The pirate game has an app. You may not want to use the app. You pretty much got to use the app for the pirate game.
Yes,
the pirate game also has
mandatory.
multiple scenarios and can be a little bit more confusing. Kitchen Rush is very straightforward. Personally,
I agree.
I like the pirate one better, but I think Rush MD, my review for that's going up in a week or so. I like that one much better than Kitchen Rush. I feel like it has a better story to it. And not a story, but you are healing the patient. You're putting the patient in a bed, moving them around, and working on them. And I found it to be superior to Kitchen Rush.
I agree. I actually, of these three, Tale of Pirates, Rush MD, and Kitchen Rush, I actually liked Rush MD the best because the other thing it introduces is dexterity elements.
Minor dexterity elements, but yes.
And that's the right thing to do. If it had been major dexterity elements when you're racing against the clock and you're already just in danger of knocking stuff over as you're frantically trying to reach around for stuff on the board, it would have been too much. But I thought they hit it just right. Just simple little like balancing things, or the fact that when you're trying to prepare the medicines, everybody literally has tweezers that they have to pick up the wooden pieces with and put them on the board to replicate trying to maintain a sterile environment. I mean, there's lots of really cool touches there. I liked it a lot.
There's a couple other games listed here on Board Game Geek. There is Wartime, the Battle of Valiant's Vale, which I'm sure you've never played because it's a war game. And this one, you actually flip timers over. When a timer's over, you can move your piece to go attack other people. And again, I liked it fine. I enjoyed it, but it's the Venn diagram of people who want to play a war game and also want to play it in real time is difficult because the faster person's likely going to win.
Yeah, I guess that's just a fundamental issue with these is competitive games. No two ways about it. Unless they try to design something in. Like, there are some games out there where it's a speed game. The timer goes, everybody just go as fast as you can, and usually the player who's fastest can think on their feet will win. But sometimes the designers are smart and say, but whoever goes last gets, an extra bonus or something like that. I think you'd have to do something like that in a competitive game to offset the fact that some people are just more decisive and quick-witted. And that's, I don't know, would you say that's an unfair advantage? Is it an unfair advantage?
I don't think it's an unfair.
I'm more tactically adept than you. I don't know.
No, I don't think that's an unfair advantage because it's perfectly legit. It's like saying, well, you're smarter than me, so that's an unfair advantage.
Yeah. I've often felt like that when I'm playing with my wife, though.
However, in that realm of things, I don't have a problem if you say, because you're better than me at this by a mile, I don't want to play it with you.
Yeah.
That's legitimate. The same as me saying, well, you work out all the time, and I don't feel like wrestling.
Yeah.
Because you're going to beat me.
Not an unfair advantage, but an unfun advantage. That I just coined a phrase.
I like it.
Trademark.
Well, it probably exists. There's another one of these. It's the name has completely eluded me. That came out from the company has also eluded me, but it's a 2-player tactical duel back and forth. That's very similar to the War one, but it was a lot easier to watch all the timers. There were a lot of moments in the game where both players sitting there waiting for a timer to run out before they could do it. And so you were able to see the board a little bit better, and I really enjoyed it, and it's totally...
It's not on the list.
It's not. Again, these mechanisms were changed about, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. So I know that a lot of things, and there's probably not a lot of, you have to know the games.
Yeah.
You can't, like, you could take a game and say, okay, what mechanisms does it fit in? That would be such a long, arduous process. A better way is to have a group committee like us. You know, we all get together and we say, so what's your favorite game with this game? Well, that's not on the list. What? You know,
What?
That's, I think, the best way to work on that.
Yeah.
I like this mechanism. I don't think it should be used too often, right? I think that this could be overdone, and every time you make this game, it's going to be compared to Kitchen Rush or the pirate game. So I do see here that Wolfenstein.
I see that now as well, and that makes me sad because these guys contacted me to cover Wolfenstein for their upcoming Kickstarter release. And I have to admit, I just dismissed it out of hand because I knew my wife would just not be interested in the subject matter. But if I'd known that it is a sandcastle worker placement game, which I find hard to believe.
I'm looking at the pictures here, and I'm not seeing
You see no sand timers?
I do not. I mean, it might be there. Let me look. Now you're BJ and your companions fighting going through Castle Wolfenstein. Isn't this on Kickstarter like right now?
I know if it isn't, it's going to be very, very soon.
Alrighty. Well,
I don't think it's launched yet. Yeah, I mean, I think somebody. So it's interesting. You know, obviously, Jeff, in coming up with this naming convention, was trying to be consistent. But I suspect the fact that this mechanism does not have the word sand timer in the name is going to lead to potentially a higher than normal mislabeling. Because, I mean, how else would you do this other than sand timers? What other kind of action timer? I mean, I guess every single thing could be a little digital clock app.
Oh, my word. Well, then if you're going to do that, then the whole game would be digital.
No, actually, that sounds really cool. A worker placement game where all the workers have their own, their little like watch batteries in them, and when you put them out there, they've got little LEDs, like 24 countdown timers, and and if you're going that far, each one of them has a tiny little speaker, and the workers can shout at you, "I need a job!" And
now, okay,
oh my God, that would be amazing.
Well, if you're going to do that, then depending on what space you put him in, it takes him longer. Like this worker, he's good at cutting down trees, but he's terrible if you put him in the mine. And this worker's lazy, and he might just sit there and do nothing for a while. But when he does work, it's amazing.
So, okay, they have little microchips, too, so they can actually track the morale based on the jobs you give to them, and they could actually have a worker revolt where they refuse to do anything.
I think it's time
we need to get to work on this, Tom.
The top 5. Here we go.
Okay.
All right, folks, and we do a top 5. It's not top 5 games we designed. It's time for you to give us a topic, and I'll go through and pick 4 of these topics, and then we will put together the definitive list without X-Men. Top. I'm not bitter. The top 5 list.
He is the best. He is the best X-Man.
Oh wow, people were ready for this one this time.
Oh, I bet.
All right, today we're going to be looking for a board game topic here.
Okay.
We got some good ones, though, that are not board game topics, but I'm going to be picking ones. Ooh, I like that one.
All right. Maybe I'll pick it, or maybe I won't.
All righty.
Yeah, I got a lot of where's X-Men, where's Daredevil, where's Hulk from that last one we did on about Marvel characters.
All right, I got 3, looking for the 4th one. All righty, well, there's a lot of non board game things here. I like this one, the top 5 pasta shapes. What is that? Yeah, and you laugh, but I actually could make that list pretty fast.
I could probably come up. I think I could come up with that. They got to come back.
All right. I got them. Here we go. All right. So I have. Stop giving me topics here, people. Okay. So top 5 micro games, the top 5 polynomial games.
Oh.
Polyomino.
Polyomino. Yeah.
Yes.
Polynomial, I'm sure, has a very different meaning.
It does. All right.
You can just say Tetris games. It's fine.
Top 5 video games that should be board games. And
right.
top 5 board games named after a city.
Oh. Okay. Right. Polyominoes, cities, video games to board games, and micro games. Micro games. Geez, this is tough. I have to admit that my inclination is to go for polyomino games. Although I'm feeling like I might be doing a top 10 on that in the not too distant future, because I am definitely to that point now where there are so many amazing games in the post-patchwork world we live in now. So I might wait on that, unless that's the one you were really excited about.
I'm not telling you.
Oh, all right. Okay. Yeah, okay, I'm going to do it. I get to choose. I am the decider. I say polyomino games.
All righty. This is from Ross Updike. Top 5 polyomino games. Now, I don't know that there's even... Is there even like a way to...
Yes, there is, in fact. Let me... What is one? All right, let's just do a search for patchwork. I believe there is a category that has been flagged for this. Except I cannot type patchwork. Patchwork. And this one I actually want to take kind of seriously, because this is fast becoming one of, if not my favorite mechanism. I have always loved tile drafting.
All right, but remember the veto part. So let me go through some of the games on this list. We'll just talk about them real briefly before we start throwing them out there.
Yeah, there is a board game family called Polyominoes. There we go.
I found it. All right.
Yep.
So let's see. Patchwork is obviously the most famous on the list, and we got Blokus or Bloku or Blokus, however you want to pronounce it. Feast for Odin.
Now I'm not going to call. I would veto Feast for Odin, quite frankly, because that is a worker placement game that minors in polyomino, and it's not to say it's not an important element of the game, but I first and foremost, it's a worker placement game.
I'm not arguing that.
Patchwork, which is all about the polyominoes.
So when I redo this list on my own someday, this will be my number 1, just as a heads up.
Fair enough.
All right. Then Princess of Florence, which is, I guess if you're vetoing Feast for Odin, you got to veto this, because this is also an auction game.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And honestly, I wouldn't. Princess of Florence, it has its place in the pantheon of the Hall of Fame, but I don't think it necessarily holds up, which I'm sure is blasphemy to folks out there. But hey, doesn't support 2 players? Okay, you're right out the door. And then it has that same Puerto Rico. If you don't play right, it's going to be a bad time for you at the table, which I can personally attest to from when I played it with Jason Levine. And Jason Levine is the only person I have ever shouted at in a game where I said, "Jason, you have to stop right now." It was a rough time in my life that I was going through, but it worked out in the end.
I can't imagine. Okay, so then we got Barron Park, clearly in this category.
Yeah, Barron Park, that's the first one that pops into my head as a must-add.
Well, let's go through them first, because you don't want to miss any. We got Zaya, which is a space
we're taking this
game.
one seriously.
A space game. Then we got the trilogy. We got Cottage Garden, Spring Meadow, and what's the third one?
It's
Indian Summer.
One could say it's a politically troublesome title.
Is Indian Summer considered to be that?
Is it? I don't know. I'm not sure. When I covered it, I was a little nervous about it. It's not like the Braves or something like that as a sports team, but anyway, yes.
Oh, I don't know.
There's a question for you. Of the trilogy, and for folks who don't know, Uwe Rosenberg, Mr. Agricola, Mr. Caverna, Mr. Bonanza has really made a central pillar of his design philosophy for the last...
I think he has 7.
I know. He just can't stop doing it. He's obsessed. It's become his thing. But these are the three that came out in rapid succession from the same publisher, I believe. No, Patchwork is a different publisher. No, that's right. The three are the same publisher. Anyway, of those three, which do you rate the highest? I know which. For me, it's an easy choice.
It's actually not so easy for me because I go back and forth. I like the Spring Meadow, but it's like a slow version of Tetris. I like the most beautiful, I think, is Indian Summer. But at the end of the day, oh, I think I just lost you. Are you back? Alrighty, folks. I think I lost Mr. Rahdo. That's a sad thing. We'll try to bring him back here. It's just me now. We'll bring him back, folks. We can't let Mr. Rahdo go. Hello.
Hey, everybody.
There
Shall
we go.
Blame Comcast or AT&T?
This is Comcast's fault. Even if we were running on AT&T, I would have blamed Comcast. Okay. So anyway, as I was saying, I think Indian Summer is the prettiest, but I think at the end of the day, now having played all three and having some years behind me now to look at them all, the simplest and most enjoyable for me is Cottage Garden.
The first one. Interesting. Yeah. I would go. I'm on the opposite end. I think Spring Meadow is by far the best because it is a more challenging game because it follows the Tetris mold where, hey, your stuff has to come in at the top and they have to be slid into place. You are much more heavily restricted into how you place your tiles as opposed to the other two where, well, you can kind of spread however you want. Same for Patchwork, really. And there's nothing wrong with that, but it makes it a little bit more laid back, a little bit more relaxing, and I'm not quite as racked with tension. Will I be able to split stuff in?
Well, so I know, but that's kind of why I like it, because sometimes I don't want that tension, especially when teaching new people to play.
Fair enough. What are these new people to play of which you speak?
Yeah, I know.
That is an alien concept to me.
Tiny towns, does that fit? I don't think it does.
It could have, and I see it's on the list here.
You're doing it in abstract. You're placing blocks down in a polynomial shape, which then become a building.
I don't think so. I think
it's its own category.
Adjacent.
All right, what about Ubongo?
Never played it.
Oh, this is like a speed game basically where you have a shape. You get some of these Tetris shapes. You just got to fill it up as fast as you can. It's like a puzzle. How do you fit these shapes into that? What about New York 1901? This is a polynomial game of buildings, putting them in New York from Blue Orange.
That was that's a wonderful gateway game. We actually like that one quite a bit from Blue Orange Games. Although for my taste, too light. I mean, I could totally play that with my mom, and I think she'd be comfortable with it.
Cleopatra and the Society of Architects has polynomials in it as a partial thing, so I think we'll cancel that. Number 9 is polynomials done differently. They're like stacked on top of each other.
Would you want to recommend that one? Would you want to put that in the top?
I don't know. I'm just saying that I think that could count.
Yeah.
And I think... So, unfortunately, I mean, not unfortunately, but I think you have to include, there's a lot of roll and write games that are using this now. Cartographers is polynomials. You're just drawing them on the paper.
All right. So Polyomino does not require a physical object. Right. The official definition, these games use various kinds of polyominoes for pieces, implying that there has to be a physical piece. A polyomino is a plane geometric figure formed by joining one or more equal squares edge to edge. So we have to get into the lawyery business.
Look, I'm okay if you want to exclude the... If
I were making this list right now, it would make my life a lot easier. If I were really doing my real top 10, I would take out any of the tangentials. I would say, look, this is just about pure... I mean, because if I were making a top 10 card games, you know what? Every game on my shelf has cards in some form. Well, and I just want to drill down to the things that are just pure polyomino.
I'm just not as stressed about this as you are. I just make the list, and what happens, happens. All right.
These are important, Tom.
Arcadia does polynomials to some degree as part of its game. The Isle of Cats, certainly. This is a new one. Fits.
And an excellent one.
Fits is Tetris from Reiner Knizia. Have you played this one where the pieces drop down?
Yes, I have, yeah. I mean, actually, how old does these go back? Because I would have thought Fits is one of...
It's 2009.
It's a really old one, isn't it?
Big City is technically a polynomial game. You just don't notice because they're big plastic pieces.
Okay.
But again, it's more about the game than putting the pieces on. In the Hall, the Mountain King has this, but again, if you're going to disclude Feast for Odin, you got to disclude.
I will immediately veto it. It is an excellent game, but yeah, there's a lot more going on than just getting those tiles on the table.
Now, Copenhagen is on the list, that's for sure. That's one where you're dropping the tile. You got to play the cards to get the polynomials.
Yeah, I like Copenhagen a lot. A lot.
Well, this is a very crowded category, honestly. There's more than I thought. You will be able to make a top 10, but if I'm taking out the roll and rights, that makes it a little easier.
Yep.
Scarabia, I don't know how to pronounce it. I've not played that one. Z did.
Yeah, that one escaped my my notice as well, I have to admit.
City Skylines, the board game, is polynomials, sort of.
And I'm nominating City Skylines.
I'm vetoing it. Anyhow, so
that lasted for all of 3.2 seconds. Who came up with this veto idea? It was me.
And
you're crazy about that one. City Skylines is fantastic. And it's a great polyomino game, and it's cooperative. Is it the only cooperative polyomino game out there? It might be. But yeah, I've nominated it knowing that I'd get that veto out of the way. Too sweet.
Ohio.
Or Ohio. Yeah, that's a good one, too.
That one is most certainly trying to be like Tetris.
This is a hard list to make.
I agree. Okay, well, I think we've gone through some of the the top ones here.
I'm going to start recommending stuff for real. And in spite of everything that's just been said, I am going to throw Barron Park out there.
Oh, no. Barron Park, there's two, I think, that are just hands down easy. Barron Park is one.
Yeah.
I agree. And the other for me would be Isle of Cats. That game is just solid.
No argument at all. Isle of Cats might be the number one if we were to literally rank these.
I would have to sit and think about it for a while, but man, I really liked Isle of Cats. It's such a good game. It is
so fantastic. It is perfection. And I don't know if you only played the full game. The gateway rules that come with it work wonderfully. I was able to play this with my mother-in-law who had never played modern board games, but she just liked cats, and she had a great time. I mean, that game is for everybody. That's going to make it made my top 10 last year because it's officially a last year game, but I'm sure it's going to be in a lot of top 10 lists at the end of this year.
I'm looking at the comments from the people playing who are watching this, and there's one game that I forgot about that I don't know that you've played it yet, but it was on Kickstarter, and that's Project L.
Project L. A lot of people were talking about that at Dice Tower West, actually. That was all.
Have you played it?
No, I have not. Here's the thing. It's way too abstract for me. Anything.
These are all abstract.
Has a theme, even if it's just loosiest goosiest theme. I guts to feel like I'm building something other than just geometric shapes. Sorry.
So then you don't like patchwork? Because I mean, that's literally just a quilt.
Patchwork is on the hairy edge. I mean, it's enough. It's enough. Especially since if you go to my next room, I've got a gigantic quilt hanging on the wall that my mother-in-law made for my wife. And so quilts are a big thing in our life. I thought that was okay. Well, okay, so we have two. There's absolutely no arguing at all. Then it gets a little bit more into the weeds. Oh, have you played Clip Cut Parks?
Yeah.
Where you literally make your own polyominoes, effectively?
Do you often make polynomials in the game? I found that I did it rarely.
You just can't do it. You can't stop saying polynomial, can you?
I was a math teacher.
Fair enough. Yeah, you're right. That's going to be a hard habit to break.
You don't make... I mean, technically, they're all polyominoes, for sure.
Yes.
But I found I often made a straight line of 1, 2, or 3. That was often what I built. Yes, occasionally I'd make a corner cut. So
okay, I think so.
I like the game a lot. Don't get me wrong. Although it does feel more of a, it's almost more of an amusing.
It is. I mean, I think, a few weeks ago we talked about gimmicks. That could have made our top 5 gimmick games, I think. Cutting up.
Oh yeah, cutting.
Yeah, because there's another game coming out that does it as well. That does that same idea of cutting stuff up. It's from Russia. Can't remember the name of it. So okay, I'll leave that off the list. It's just an honorable mention because it's just so clever. How are you about
Patchwork? We have to consider Patchwork at least.
Oh, so you're nominating Patchwork?
No, I'm not. I'm asking.
It's like we both feel like we're obligated to, but neither of us want to.
Well, then we don't have to. This is our list, for crying out loud. Yeah. So I'm saying Copenhagen.
Copenhagen is fantastic. I love Copenhagen so much. Again, because it uses that extra level of complexity with the Tetris notion. I will accept it. And continuing on that same line, what are you going to say about, I know you played it, Arisle? Copenhagen and Arisle are kind of really in the same ballpark.
Would you put Arisle over Uwe's trilogy?
No. Well, we get back to the trilogy. I think we have to include one of them, and I still argue Spring Meadow is the best of them. And you want Cottage Garden.
No. Here's the thing. So if we put Arisle as 4, because we get this out of the way, so we go to questions.
Well, okay. I have you at a disadvantage because actually, there's one that I know you haven't played. It's because it's literally going live on Kickstarter today. It may have already done, and I should have made my run-through for it live by now. It is called Planet Unknown.
People are mentioning that in the comments, but I have not played that.
Planet Unknown. Is it live, folks? Let me know, because I got to make my video live, but I'm stuck with this guy. I got my job to do. Planet Unknown, to me, feels like, what would Terraforming Mars be if it were a polyomino tile layer? And the answer, amazing. Amazing. People who've already seen my video have put to me, okay, Rahdo, if you have to pick Planet Unknown or Isle of Cats, pick one. And that gave me pause.
Really? That's pretty strong praise.
Yes. Here's the deal. It's a tile drafting. There's a bunch of polyomino shapes you've got to grab. Like I said, folks, go check it out on Kickstarter now or soon. But the game comes with a Lazy Susan. A literal Lazy Susan that all the tiles are laid out on, and whatever wedge of the Lazy Susan is pointing me. Okay, I decide how far the Susan rotates. I'll take these, and that means everybody else around the table gets tiles from whatever's in front of them in front of the Lazy Susan, and then we all place them onto our planet that we're terraforming, and every tile has 2 elements that let you push up on different technology tracks, and these technology tracks are just overloaded with bonus combo unlock scoring things. It's a blast. Jen and I were really blown away. A big part of it is the quasi-toy factor of the Lazy Susan, because it's just fun to actually have that physical thing moving around, but then it's a phenomenal tile laying game, and it's a great combo-laden game too. I mean,
I'm looking at it now, and this does look pretty cool. Yeah. This looks pretty cool. I don't think it's on Kickstarter yet. I'm on the pre-Kickstarter page.
Okay, because they haven't launched yet. I believe they are launching today at some point.
Well, maybe
hey, you know what? I'm checking my email. It has been launched. It was launched about 30 minutes ago, which means I got to go make my video live, which I can do while still talking. So here's the thing. I strongly nominate this one, and it's unfair to you because you won't play it for months and months and months, and you won't watch my video either. I know.
You don't know. I watch your videos all the. Wait, it's Planet Unknown. Okay, cool. No, I can't pick a game I haven't played.
I know.
So, but
the question is, do you trust me?
No.
Okay.
Not enough for a top 5.
Planet Unknown time will have to come another day on Corner
However,
to Corner. I'm okay with that.
To make up for it, I will give you Spring Meadow, because even though I like the other one slightly better, at the end of the day, I like all 3. So
all right.
I think I'm actually surprised they haven't come out with like a box of all 3.
That's a really good idea. Yeah.
I don't know how well all 3 of them sold, though, so they might not have. We often think games sell better than they do.
Yeah.
Alrighty, folks. Well, that's our top 5.
Right, was that 5? That was Isle of Cats.
Copenhagen, Spring Meadow, and Arisle.
Well, that's 5. I'm happy with that list.
It's question time.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, folks. If you have questions, now's your time to ask them. And let me move a few of these things around here so I can easily put the questions in. Alrighty. Well, either way, what's the game you have in front of you, by the way?
This would be Tiny Towns, and I'm glad you asked. After we are done here, Tom, if folks would like to stick with me, much like last week, I'm going to be doing a live playthrough of this with the fine folks of Alderac Entertainment, the game's publisher. Unfortunately, I don't have a link like I did last week, so you'll just have to go to Facebook. Ugh. Why are they streaming on Facebook, Tom? And do a search for Alderac Games, and you will find, for the last week or two, every day, they've been having guests on and doing live playthroughs of Tiny Towns. And I said, okay, I will come and I will play Tiny Towns. And so folks can find me. As soon as we're done, I've got to jump ship and figure out how to log on to that.
Ooh, this is a good one here. First question from Jasmine. What are your favorite games that you think you'll never get to play again, legacy or not? That's a really...
That's a sad question.
Sure. Like, I want to say Pandemic Legacy, but I feel like I'm going to play it again. I feel like someday in the future, I'll have some grandkids, and I'll be like, let me take you on an adventure.
Or like, just get out your old copy because it's still 100% playable.
Oh, I'm sorry I opened this door.
Legacy 2 was not, but Pandemic Legacy I have played many times on our finalized board. It's just a cool custom board we've got.
Yeah. Anyhow, no.
That I'll never get to play again. I might. My first thing that pops into my head would be Space Hulk Death Angel, in all honesty.
Huh. That's funny because my first one was going to be Warhammer 40,000. I think I'll never play that again.
We are definitely in the same neighborhood. That's some synergy there. I love it to pieces, and I shouldn't because I hate Roll to Resolve. But I love everything about that game. My wife vehemently despises it because she just can't stand James Cameron's Alien-style settings. And so the only way I can play it is solo. And that makes me very sad because I very rarely play solo games. And so that's probably it. And I've got all the little mini expansions for it. I've never played any of them. It's so sad, Tom. So sad.
Yeah, I think... Well, I mean, there's some experiences that... I don't know. I mean, Warhammer... Like, I don't say all these old collectible card games because I feel like I could be talked into that at some point. because they're so small, right? And they're easy to get. But Warhammer, I think I'm good with. Probably forever. So how did we meet? So we'll assume in person here, because, man, I know I used to be so jealous because Rahdo went to Essen and I did not.
Yep.
That is no longer a jealousy thing after having gone to Essen. It's a lot of work. And I would watch his videos, despite him saying I don't watch them. I would watch his videos where he went through the hall for 40 minutes and just talked himself hoarse. And I would would keep pausing the video because someone doesn't know how to like slowly pan.
I've gotten better.
To look at the different things there. Did we meet at...
I think we did meet at Essen, quite frankly.
It might have been Essen. Oh, yeah, because you played a game with Ryan Metzler. I remember that.
Okay. Yeah, I remember playing a game with Ryan Metzler at Essen once. Here's the deal. I hope you don't remember this. And I really feel like I shouldn't mention it just in case you do. But I came away from meeting you the first time with my ears burning because I have no idea why. But I said hello to you in kind of a joking, jovial way. And I used a really foul curse word. And I don't even remember what I said. But I remember as soon as it came out of my mouth, like, why am I cursing in front of Tom Vasel? He's like the board game industry's preacher. He's our school marm. You don't curse in front of Tom Vasel. And you were cool about it. You just took it in stride. And I thought, oh my God, I just made an industry enemy now. What is wrong with me?
You don't know some of the people I've met in this industry.
Did you remember that?
Yes, because...
No, he does.
No, because later on I was like, I didn't know he talked like that.
Yeah, I think I probably did it on purpose. In real life, I do kind of... I worked in the video game industry for decades. It kind of builds up. And sometimes I use it for comedic effect because I know people will be surprised if they hear Rahdo cursing. But yeah, that was not the right time or place. And if I never did, I would like to apologize because that was not getting it off on a good foot.
Now, it was actually the thing that struck me is most of the time when I meet people in person, they're very different than their online personas, and you were not. And so, because he just was like off to the races, and I was like, "Oh, I have a lot of things to argue with you about, and we don't have time." And because I love in person, not debate is a strong word, but like spirited discussions. I like to talk to people who aren't just parroting back to you what you agree with. It's fun to have a back and forth. And I remember that. And then I remember Ryan Metzler played a game with him, and we were rooming together. Ryan came back and he said, "That man never stopped talking the whole game." I
said, just trying to make sure everybody's having a good time.
All right. The question here is, how did you both make the move from gamer to reviewer? I think it's a gradual thing, but where do you feel like after you were done, you're like, I'm a reviewer now?
Well, that's a good question, specifically. I mean, because I started doing this because I had been in the video game industry for almost 20 years. I was totally burned out. I quit. I retired and figured out, what am I going to do next? Okay, I'll figure it out. And my wife was terrified that I was just going to be hanging around the house all the time in my mid-40s, and I was going to drive her nuts because she's worked at home for almost her entire adult life. And she said, "You're going to have a hobby." And somebody on Board Game Geek said, "Hey, Joel Eddy of Drive Thru Review, you've got Helvetia. Could you make a video of it?" And Joe said, "I don't know, maybe." And I thought, "Oh, I'll grab my camera and I'll do it." And I just kind of did it in the back of my mind thinking, well, this could be a hobby. This could be a good way to pass the time. And I remember thinking at the time that if it becomes popular, maybe I could start getting free review copies of games like that Tom Vasel guy. That was literally the thought process that went through. I guess you can't say I was a professional until I was literally making a living out, because we ultimately then moved to Malta. I got another job in the video game industry. It wasn't a real retirement. It was just kind of a furlough, I suppose. And then I went back in, and I did that job for a year. It was over, and then we decided, well, we'd like to stay here in Malta because it's one of the cheapest places in the world to live. It's like third world cost of living, but first world amenities. How can we do this? And I had still been doing Rahdo Runs Through just on the side, when I wasn't at work. And I thought, well, if we want to stay here in Malta and not go back to England or back to America, maybe I should run a Kickstarter. Because by that point, again, that Tom Vasel guy did it, and it worked out okay.
Tom Vasel guy's a jerk.
I know, and you were there. You were my star every step of the way, my guiding light. And I figured, and it was a modest success. I think I brought in $4,000, which basically covered a year's worth of board game buying for me. And I would say, yeah, as soon as people started paying money, when I got up the courage to do that, I became a professional. Because because a big part of it was, I am really, after my experience in Malta working in the video game industry, I was so burned out. I never wanted to go back to it. And I was really enjoying Rahdo Runs Through, and I thought, well, maybe this can be more than a hobby. Maybe this can be more than a way to get free games. Maybe this can be a way to keep me from having to go back to the real world. And I'm very happy to say it worked out for me. Good timing, and that would be it for me. What about you?
Sure, it's a gradual thing, right? It didn't happen overnight. There's different points. I think maybe the first time I went to Origins and someone said, "You're Tom Vasel," because at that point I hadn't been doing the podcast, or I'd been doing the podcast, but people didn't know what I looked like per se.
Right.
And so that was like, wow, I met a person in real life who reads my reviews. Or I would talk to publishers, and a publisher would be like, "Oh, you're Tom Vasel. You wrote a review of our game." And I'd like, "Oh, that was neat." Because when I first started reviewing, I remember distinctly there was a lot of people in the hobby who kind of were like, "Yeah, you're new, kid. Yeah, kid, you'll get jaded after a while." Which, granted, you do get a little more jaded as time goes by, even if you try not to. Just by very nature, you get a new game but you've played 20 other games like it.
Yeah.
But I always felt like I was some young kid. Well, I was a young kid. I was in my 20s, some young kid. But then as time went by and publishers started greeting me by name and stuff, I was like, oh, I'm not just I think it was, when I started making money that then I felt like a professional to some degree, even though I still don't, and I still find it mind-bogglingly funny when people on the internet act like me and Richard are big name people. And especially because I've just seen the fringes of the video game industry. He's been in the video game industry, and you would not believe the money and influence that is in that industry compared to the board game. Like, the smallest video game reviewers are bigger than us. It's
exactly.
I should say the smallest, but you know what I mean. There is so much money there.
The scale is completely off the charts. I mean, yeah, we're moderately large fish in the tiniest of ponds.
Do we both still get nervous prior to recording a live video?
A live video? I don't think so. I don't think I ever really have gotten nervous. The only thing I'm nervous about is unforeseen technical difficulties. I mean, that bugs me. But I mean, in high school, I was a regular member of the drama club. I was actually doing community plays while I was still in high school, based off the success of my the high school plays I did. And I did customer service for Nintendo as a gameplay counselor for years. My entire life has been leading up to train me to do this job. Another thing, when I was in high school, for a week, I was a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. But that was after 2 weeks of training about how to become a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman. So sure. I have always been comfortable getting up in front of people. The most nerve-wracking one I ever did was when I was working on the video game adaptation of Shark Tale, which, hey, you take the work you can get. And at one point, the entire movie production team, we were told their morale is really down. Things aren't going well. Could you come out and make a presentation of your game to lift them up? And we're like, what? We're the video game. We're the afterthought. What are you talking about? And I didn't even figure it'd be that big a deal. I'd go out, show it to a couple dozen people. But they had, at DreamWorks, an auditorium of like 300 people, all sitting there waiting for us to show our early pre-alpha build of Shark Tale. That was the one time I think I was genuinely nervous. I was terrified because I had no expectation of it. And it was a choppy build, and I had to talk and I had to play at the same time. That was terrifying. Nothing live streaming on YouTube can ever come close to being in a room of 300 people, and your job is you have to make these people feel good about their work. Like, what? That was terrifying.
I agree. The live stuff, I'm not usually nervous doing it. I don't know. I'm trying to remember if I've ever been nervous doing something live. I'm nervous that the stuff won't break down sometimes, but that's about it. Live shows, though, I'm usually pretty good with live shows, but there's a couple times I was very nervous. One was on the cruise recently where we did a show on skates. And I hadn't skated.
Oh, you were riding on roller skates?
No, ice skates. I hadn't ice skated in like 4 years. So I was extremely nervous about just falling down. And once I got on the ice, as time went by, I felt better and better, and I didn't fall. So there was that. And then also, every once in a while...
Is there any video of this? I think people need to see this video.
It's not as good as you might think. There's in the blogs of the Dice Tower, I think you can see them. And then for our Dice Tower Gen Con shows, a couple times we did singing in them. And I was always very nervous because that was a very different beast. And singing is one of those really weird things in life that if you're not that good at it, people criticize you unmercifully. We don't do it with anything else.
Yeah.
Like if I see some kid playing a board game and they don't do very well, and I'm not like, don't quit your day job.
Or when people are learning how to drive and they slip the clutch. I mean, you don't just mercilessly rip them apart.
But music, people will do that.
Yeah.
I think American Idol has taught us to do that, possibly.
There you go.
I don't know, but so singing is a very risky thing, and so that made me very nervous. But for the most part, I'm pretty good.
All right.
Ooh, what's our ugliest favorite game? Like a game.
Ooh, ugly games. Right off the bat, I mean, some people would disagree, but Glory to Rome.
I'll be even stronger than that. I'll say
it has
Glory to Rome.
And stark beauty to it, but I know some people think it's the ugliest thing the industry's ever seen.
I'll say Glory to Rome in all its actually.
Oh, in all of its iterations. Yeah.
That's a fair one. I was going to say 7 Ages. It's a big, giant war civilization game that looks like it came out 20 years ago because it did. But I still like it. even though it doesn't
Yep.
look that good. Glory to Rome's a good pick, though.
Yep. All right.
Let's see. Someone's asking about yelling at the person. What other games need a Lazy Susan? And is it really just a replacement for a rondel system?
What game couldn't use a Lazy Susan? You have to ask yourself.
I would tell you almost every deck building game could use a Lazy Susan. I got
Ooh,
one
that's
built.
handy. Yeah.
I played one for Dominion one time. Super useful. On your turn, the one that we used, I bought a Lazy Susan for my house specifically for Quarriors when that first came out, because I got tired of looking at all the cards. I'm like, let's spin it, and we used it mostly for that one game because it was a really heavy Lazy Susan, and setting it, and then not every game would fit on it, so.
Okay.
I like Lazy Susan. It's a good idea.
Yeah. It's like I said, the Planet Unknown. It's good, used to really good effect. Yeah.
Our last question,
Okay.
I think, because we're running out of time here, and Rahdo's got to go play Tiny Towns.
Yep. I'm just looking up. I'm finding the URL for it now. Yeah.
What's your favorite non-gaming thing to do at a convention?
Oh, the easiest answer is eat. Just eat and eat and eat.
Sure, I would like to say that too, but I think I like talking shop, because in my life there's so few people who understand what I do. Like when and you might laugh at this, but the people I enjoy talking to most in the world, other than my wife and whatever, but like just other people, is Rodney Smith, Richard Ham, and Jamie Kagi from the Secret Cabal, because they're the only. There's like a group of 20 people who do exactly what I do. So we can talk for long periods of time about stuff that we cannot share or no one else would really understand.
Right. Or be interested in. I mean, the technical problems we have to deal with, how we solve problems, but our relationships with publishers, all of that stuff. Yeah.
And I really like that. And so I get, like, at BGG Con this past year, I swung by and Rahdo was at a booth, and I talked to him for a brief minute, and Lance Undead Viking was there too. And then like an hour later, I was like, oh, I meant to be here for a minute. And we just got, I don't know if you remember that, we just got caught up talking about everything.
Yep.
And so that's don't get me wrong, I love talking to everybody. I love talking to people. I love talking to publishers. But to talk to someone who does the same thing you do is a rarity sometimes.
I agree. That's a good call. And I would, as a addition to that, or something similar, I really enjoy getting to sit down with the actual designers, and playing their games, and kind of hearing it direct from them, and seeing the passion they've got for it, and talking to them about, but why did you make this choice? Wouldn't it be better to go this way? And getting that kind of one-to-one. I mean, as a former professional designer myself, I love that kind of stuff.
Alrighty, well, that's it for another day, folks. We will be back on Friday. We'll be back on Rahdo's channel himself. So
yes.
if you like what you're seeing, we'll be back Friday at 2 p.m. there. Also, other stuff going up today. Rahdo just mentioned he has the Planet Unknown video. You can watch that. You can go to the AEG website and watch him play Tiny Towns. I just reviewed a game from Plaid Hat.
I just created a URL for that, by the way. tt.rahdo.com will take you right to it.
tt.rahdo.com. That's rahdo.com.
That's the place. Come and watch me lose.
I reviewed an amazing game, folks. One of my favorite games of the year, Forgotten Waters, today. Also, check that out. But until next time, I'm Tom Vasel.
I'm Richard Rahdo Ham.
We'll see y'all next time.
Bye-bye.